Intelligent Trigger feature. This feature that's available for all SalesIQ paid users, it allows you to automate your engagement with the website visitors. And what it does is when people pass by your website, when they take a look at it and simply leave, this capability helps arrest that. It helps reach out to them, offer them different tips, different promotions, different uh, offers that are available, any kind of information that will be useful to allow them to have a better shopping experience on your website. So that's what we're going to look at today. And I'm also going to show you everything that we're looking at as a demo on this trial account here or demo account. So you know exactly where to find those particular settings. So what exactly are we going to discuss today in this session? What points are we going to cover? So here's a recap of that. It was already emailed to you, but I'm just recapping that. So of course, we will be looking at what intelligent triggers are briefly, and how you can create one for your website, or if you have more than one website, for all of them. And although there are several different types of intelligent triggers, some are preferred more than the others due to a variety of reasons. We're going to look at those most commonly used or most famous intelligent triggers. And apart from these intelligent triggers, we're also going to look at how to show banners or forms or any kind of pop-up system that's independent of your SalesIQ chat to convey a promotional offer or make an announcement or something like that, or even display a coupon. So we're going to look at how to do all of that. And setting up an intelligent trigger is one, making sure that it gets people to respond or attracts their attention is a completely different ball game altogether. So we're going to also look at that as well. And so after you set up these intelligent triggers, we need to find out how good they're working out and how many of them are getting a response. We are going to be looking at reports or analytics data from your account that can tell you all those things. So before we talk about what an intelligent trigger is, we need to first ask the question, what's the difference between a chat that a visitor starts on your website and an intelligent trigger? So the former, the chat that a visitor starts on your website, we need to clarify what this is. I know most of you already use it. For the some of you that don't or just signed up and haven't really made up your mind, let's just show you what this chat system looks like and how it's operated. So here's a sticker on the website that people are going to click to open. It's a recorded video that's playing. So people fill up their name, their email address, any other data that you want from them, like zip code or products they're interested. In this case, they're choosing a department they want to talk to, and the question. So once that chat is started, you can see that it connects to a user. And this is what the chat system works like. It's like a doorbell that you have in your house. When people need to contact you, they're going to press that, and that's how they're going to get in touch with that. So that's pretty straightforward for all of you who have not used the Sales IQ chat widget as yet. So this will be useful for you to know that. So before you can deploy an intelligent trigger, the obvious question people will ask is, why do I need to set up all these things? Go to all these links to configure them. What is the benefit for me? So, uh, what does it do to me if these intelligent triggers help improve conversions? So I know more of who my visitors are. So we're going to look at some of these four top reasons that allow you to find out who your website visitors are, what they are doing, and use that information to target them really well. Because blindly setting up an intelligent trigger is not going to do the trick. You're going to have to put some effort into identifying the best ways to contact a person and provide the information that they would be seeking at that point of time. So that's what we're going to look at now. So the first point is, of course, knowing what your visitors seem to be interested in. That's really important. When you walk into a supermarket store and you look at the sales executive who's standing in the corner, his eyes are going to be scanning the entire shop floor, looking at all the potential customers, such as the one in the picture. They're going to analyze what they seem to be looking at. So here, of course, you can see this customer has already purchased a lot, and it's likely that they would purchase more, provided they find what they're looking for. And that's what a good businessman would do. And a great businessman would show them what they need even before they realized that they would need it, like Steve Jobs once said. So all these things can happen only if you have the data coming your way. So you know what your website visitors seem to be interested in, so you can then target them with information that's relevant. That's point number one. Two is it allows you to find out issues with your conversion. So whenever you convert a visitor to a customer, it's easier said than done. As you can see in this graph here, up to 75% of purchases made online are abandoned midway. People add items to their cart, they never check out. Or they add items to the cart, they look at the final tally, and then they fail to check out. Sometimes they even go ahead and enter their postal address or delivery address and all of that, and then abandon the cart and don't make the purchase. Sometimes they go as far as entering their credit card information, but they don't complete by authorizing the payment. So there are different places where people fail to make the purchase, where the items they added to the cart stay in the cart. The cart is never checked out. So you need to know where or which page or which part of this entire conversion process this cart abandonment happens. So only when you know that you can start fixing that problem. As they say, before you can fix a problem, you need to know what the problem is. So that is something that SalesIQ will help you see, and that is also something you have to consider before you put in your intelligent trigger messages. So think of a situation where people look at the shopping cart and then they see, oh, there's a delivery charge. It's just undoing all the coupons and all the discounts I seem to have gotten so far. It's just too expensive. Might as well drive to Walmart or Costco and get it myself. People will think that. So it could be a reason that they are abandoning their purchase at that point of time. So when you know that is happening from SalesIQ, you could properly configure your intelligent trigger to pop up only if a visitor is on that page and has spent more than, let's say, 30 seconds or 45 seconds. The chat widget can just pop up and ask them if they have any questions about the purchase or any part of the itemized bill, or if they need any clarification. So in that case, what happens is most of the customers, most of the purchases uh, will not be abandoned, because they will then speak to your staff, find out why this delivery charge, for example, is there and how they can avoid it. So your staff probably tell them that, just like Amazon, if you purchase more than $25 or $50, the delivery charge is waived. So you've already purchased so much, just add another small thing to it to bring up the purchase. And now, you're not paying anything for delivery. And it makes it affordable for our business to deliver it to you. And you get a good deal because instead of paying us for the delivery, you actually are purchasing something else that you need. So that information could only be delivered if you find out where the problem is, so you can design the trigger accordingly. So before we talk about how to set up a trigger, like I said, we need to know where to use it. We need to know how to use the data SalesIQ is providing. So that's point two. And three, again, it's an extension of point two in a way. So point two sort of talks about what's happening or what's happened in the past, that is past and present tense. Point three talks about the future. So based on a certain current behavior of people on your website, you decide or you're able to analyze where this is going and accordingly make sure that you implement steps to prevent a problem from happening. So if you think that on an average so many visitors come to your website, and on this special day, let's say a Black Friday sale, you expect the traffic to triple or quadruple. What kind of upgrades are you making to your IT systems to handle the extra load? Will you have enough items in the stock to be able to serve as many visiting customers as possible? So all these things that you can decide and prepare yourselves for can only happen if you've been looking into the past information. So that's where point number three comes in. You cannot predict what's going to happen in the future without analyzing data from the past. That's the simple lesson here. So point four, it's pretty straightforward, like the name suggests. Predictive marketing or targeted marketing, as they say. So what it does is, as you can see from the picture, there could be a lot of people on your website, but you don't want to reach out to all of them because most of them are probably simply window shoppers who are just taking a look. So what do? You just isolate the people that you think are interested in your website or your services, and you reach out only to them. So you offer them whatever information you think they would be interested in, and you offer that information to them. So they process that, and they're inclined or induced to make a purchase now. So that's what happens here. So instead of targeting everybody blindly with a pop-up that comes up on every single visit, which is going to get annoying, trust me, with the second or third time, what you do is you proceed to target people and you deliver your marketing only to them. So that is what this does. So to give you an example, here's what I can show you. So this picture on the left just shows a rifle that's randomly shooting at multiple targets, spraying bullets, if you will. Or maybe another example would be carpet bombing, if you can imagine from World War II movie clips where bombs are dropped over entire cities. On the right, what you have is a sniper rifle, specifically targeting its dummy targets, shooting only at them, eliminating any risk of a collateral damage. So that's what this does. And you can compare that with the surgical or precision strikes that militaries today conduct. Marketing is also very similar that way. Instead of a blanket pop up system that many services offer, that's going to pop up to everybody, your intelligent triggers are going to make it more targeted. So only the people that you think need to see it will be seeing it, or only the people who seem to be interested in your services will be seeing it. So that's the entire idea behind intelligent triggers. It's targeted. So naturally, the question that's being asked is, "Oh, that's fine. That's why I'm here. So I need to find out how am I going to set up an intelligent trigger." So to do that, I'm going to step away from this slideshow and go into the demo account that I spoke to you about. So here's your normal SalesIQ account or CRM Plus account. You go to settings on the left side. Remember, this intelligent trigger can only be set up by an administrator level user. So if you're an agent or a supervisor level user, as you can see here, you won't be able to see all these options I'm showing you. and only an administrator can make the changes to the account. So make sure that when you take notes today, you note that down as well. So settings, automation, and there you can see multiple options. Now you choose intelligent triggers. I'm just going to delete this old one here so it's easy for you to see how it's going to look. So when you click intelligent triggers for the first time, this is what you will see: a brief introduction, a link to a help document, and it says no intelligent triggers. So I'm going to click add and set up an intelligent trigger. You can see some of the basic conditions are already set up. So I'll come back to the first line later. So I'm only going to talk about the second line and the third line now, and we will return to the first line towards the end of the slideshow. So what does the second line say? Like it says, it allows you to set the conditions in which this trigger will come up. So do you want it to target a bunch of people coming from, let's say, your email campaigns, or let's say you're running an AdWords campaign from Google, you're paying Google for visitors or traffic that it's generating for your website. So you want to send a message to all of those people, you can do that from here. You want to target people based on the number of times they've been to your website, you can do that. So different conditions. So instead of targeting everybody who's coming to your website, these triggers in the second line specifically allow you to describe or define your ultimate target, the actual people you're going to reach out to. And the third line is, of course, important. This is where most people make a mistake. They just don't set it up right, or they don't do anything at all. As of now, with whatever I have set up here, nothing's going to work. Because although you have told what kind of people you're going to target, you haven't told the system what to do with them. So that's what line 3 does. Once you've identified your target visitors, what are you going to do? So there are different ways to attract their attention. The first two things do that. Animate and glow button, they just, the first one just moves the chat widget to the left and the right. As you can see here, the chat widget just moves left and right. And the second one just makes it glow. So these two are there so people know that there's a chat widget on the website. So you can look at the screen, it's pretty big. So as I'm browsing through it, it's quite possible that I might miss this chat widget here. So animate and glow buttons will help perform some sort of dynamic action or movement that will attract a person's attention. Invoke.js API, we have a separate section for that in this session today, so I'm going to come back to it. Open chat window simply opens the chat window and lets it stay. So this again is designed to let people know that, hey, there's a chat window here and it's online. So you can use it to talk to our staff. That's the objective. So that's what open chat window does. And send chat invite is where you actually get to send a message to a visitor. So that's what we're going to focus on. So once you choose the option send chat invite, you can see on the right side 3 more boxes have popped up. So you can ignore the first one. Usually most of you have more than one staff. So in that case, what happens is it displays the company name here. In this case, the company name is Zillow. And if you're a one-man company, then you can probably enter the name of the staff who's going to speak to the customers, and this is the name that will be listed. Or even in cases where there are more than one agent in the account, but only one is actually going to handle the chats on a day-to-day basis, then you can use only their name. So this box is entirely optional. Even if you leave it empty, it's going to autofill it with your company name. But this is more important. This is where you actually type your message, whatever message that you want to send to your visitors on their visit to your website, or like the example we discussed earlier, somebody stuck on your pricing page with a cart full of items thinking whether they should abandon it because they didn't like the delivery charge. So here you can have a message that tells people something that they would like to respond to, such as this. This is simple. It's a one-line message, but like you noticed, if I can scroll from the left to right, it conveys whatever you wanted to convey. If it was a brick and mortar store and you were there in person, you could speak to the customer pretty much in the same way, and it would be exactly appropriate. There's nothing different from that direct face-to-face meeting and this. So that's what you set up here, the message. And this, of course, is important because this is where you set the time delay. So once this person is on your website, you don't want the chat window to pop up right away. So 10 seconds and all of that is pretty quick. Try something like 15, 30, 60 seconds. Some people even do more, 2, 3 minutes, some as much as 10. So it's entirely up to you, depending on how much time you think your website visitors, on an average, spend on your website. So when you know that data, you can make sure that the intelligent triggers are set to come up before they normally leave. So the time delay is what you set here. So I'm just going to choose 30 seconds. So what happens is, if somebody has been on my website for at least 4 times, let's say this is their fourth visit, because look at line 2, it's only targeting visitors who have been on the website more than 3 times, so that's 4 and above. So a person on his fourth visit who has spent at least 30 seconds on my website will get this message from this person, and the chat window simply pops up with this message. I'm going to show you samples of how it's going to look like, so don't worry. So it's going to pop up with that message, and it's going to offer help. So that's what intelligent triggers do. You can add more than one intelligent trigger, for example. So let's say you want one on one page and another one on another page. We're going to look at all these examples later, so don't worry. I'm just going to come back to it again. So you can see 2 conditions here as I highlight them, changes in color. So you can even drag and drop, or rather drag and reorder them so their order changes. So the order of implementation now is the second trigger works first, and the formerly first one now works second. So this is how it simply works. Setting up an intelligent trigger is done by going to settings, automation, intelligent triggers. Simple. So this is one sample, for example. So you can see how for visitors from France and Canada and so on, you can set a message in French. And people from other English speaking countries, you can set up a message in English, and maybe even in Spanish for people from certain states in the US down south, or from Mexico and so on. The different ways you can greet them. Imagine how good it will look like. Not all websites have different language versions. Some websites do. As soon as you go to their website, you can, toggle between different country flags or languages, and the website will translate into that language automatically. But in most cases, it doesn't. So if you have a single English only website, imagine how useful this is going to be. And for those of you on the SalesIQ Enterprise version or are using CRM Plus, You also have an inbuilt language translator on the chat. So let's say you send out a greeting in Spanish to Spanish speaking customers who visit your website. They look at it and then they respond to it. You get their message in Spanish. You type your response in English because let's say you don't speak Spanish. Your response is translated on the go from English to Spanish. So when the visitor sees it, they see it in Spanish and would in all likelihood think you're a Spanish speaker. And when they respond in Spanish, again, you're going to look at that in English and so on. So that automatic translation is available in the top Sales IQ edition, the enterprise. And since CRM Plus customers also get the same edition, they're also going to be able to make use of that. But even otherwise, you could still make use of Google Translate and other systems in the market to be able to communicate with somebody who would have otherwise left your website and gone to competitors. So, sticking with this sample, here you can see how the conditions have been set up. The second line that we looked at, you can see it now says country, and then it specifies whatever countries you want to put in. So, France and Canada in this case. And send chat invite, just like our example here. And the name of the agent is, of course, optional. And the message. So in this case, the message itself is in Spanish. You just copy paste the message in Spanish or you type it out. It's up to you. And then you set the timer. So what happens once this is actually sent to the visitor? This is how it's going to look like. It's a zoomed in look of the chat window. So you don't see the website in the background. We have just highlighted the chat window alone. You can see that the name of the user is shown, the picture and all of that. And you can see the message that you typed. Let me just go back here and show you. You can see the exact message now shows up here. So here's a box where people can type something, and once they do that, this staff, Patricia, will be able to communicate with them. So what else can you do? Apart from country or language specific greetings, you can also use it as a marketing tool to aggressively market your products or services. And when you send out email campaigns regularly to generate traffic to your website, it's very helpful if you can use Sales IQ along with it. So whenever those visitors from email campaigns visit your website, such as this example here, where you can see the condition has been set to the email campaign's name. So every email campaign that you send out has a name. So it's easy for you, for example, to identify what it is. And so in this case, the example says it's a Black Friday special sale, which is what this newsletter is about. So for people from that particular news campaign or email campaign alone, you can send a chat message that says something like, are you looking for a coupon? Here's your coupon. So in your newsletter, you can probably say to, something like, if you want to avail this discount, go to my website and you will find it there. And people click the link to get to your website and you use Sales IQ to show them the coupon code. So that sort of completes the process because it incites people to get to your website instead of just closing the email and thinking, let me check it out later. And number two, it actually provides you a way to deliver the coupon to them. So only those people see it. Any other visitor who's coming to your website directly will not be seeing it because this pop-up is not being sent to them. It's only sent to people from this particular email campaigns. Even people visiting your website from an older email campaign or a completely different newsletter that you also send out pretty much at the same time, they won't get this message. So that's the idea behind a targeted system such as an intelligent trigger. And Apart from offering help, apart from marketing your products, it's also useful because it allows people to make some quick decisions on the go. So somebody is there on your website to buy one thing, and you tell them that there's a good value or much better deal for them if they buy two. What happens is you have sold twice the number of products that you otherwise would have. The customer is also visibly happy because although they ended up buying twice as much as they planned to, they did it only because they thought it was a very good deal. So that's definitely going to have a positive impact on them. They're going to associate your website to something positive, and they're going to keep coming back. So that's what SalesIQ can help encourage on your website visitors. So they see something that they cannot resist. You use the chat window to reinforce that positive image to deliver or to deliver something that they would be interested in taking. Then what happens is that's going to encourage them to keep coming back to your website. It's also going to encourage them to have their friends and family also visit. So just like this cartoon humorously puts it, encouraging people to make on the spot decisions that benefit you as well as them, it's a win win situation. So here's an example for that, something that we discussed earlier. So in this example, you can see that the condition to target these visitors is that they should be on a page that says that that's the pricing page. So whatever the pricing page URL of your website, just copy and paste that here. And here you can see a message is being sent to the visitor, encouraging them to buy more than they normally would have. So things like limited period offer, stock clearance sale, and all these marketing tabs will be able to do their magic and get people to buy more than they normally would have. So that's what intelligent triggers also help you do, encouraging impulse purchases. So here are some other examples, for instance. So on this example, we're taking a look at our own demo website. So you can see, let's say a visitor, let's call him A, is on your homepage. You can have a question like this pop up. A completely different visitor is on a different page on your website going through, let's say, the features of a product. Here you can have a completely different message pop up only to this person. And again, a third kind of visitor, calling your C, is on the pricing page going through all the price and the comparison. And while she is still making up her mind or probably not sure which one or which way to go, your intelligent trigger is exactly timed to pop up and offer her this good deal, the 10% discount. So that's going to encourage her to make the decision quick because she already likes the product and probably finds it a little expensive or maybe is still confused which one to pick because otherwise she wouldn't be hanging around on the page so far so long, would have left a long time ago. So she's still there. So that little nudge that you had to give to get her to buy, you're able to do that through the intelligent trigger. So the 10% discount. So you can see three completely different triggers have been set up. In this example, we have seen two, but you can set up as many triggers as you want depending on your subscription. The enterprise edition, of course, allows you to set up 25 different triggers. So that's a lot. In that case, you can see different triggers working on different kinds of visitors, encouraging all of them to do different kinds of things. And in these two cases, it's sort of customer support related because it helps people make a decision. Third one, of course, is sort of a purchase oriented pitch. Ultimately, all these three people would be inclined to buy your services. So it helps them in different ways, and that's going to be beneficial to you. So apart from these samples that we have seen, There are lots of other conditions as well. We're going to take a look at them now. So let me just get rid of this one here to make it easy. So if you just click this drop down that says current page URL, you can see a lot of other things. So many of them here. And even if your account is connected with applications like Zoho CRM and campaigns, you can use those as well. Let's take a look at Zoho Campaigns integration. So Zoho Campaigns is listed here. If you click Zoho Campaigns, now you don't even have to type the name of the email campaign. Remember the Black Friday example that we looked at. Since Zoho Campaigns tightly integrates with SalesIQ, as soon as you connect SalesIQ with that account, all the email campaigns that you have sent out from that account are going to be listed here. Since it's a demo account, we don't send them regularly, so the latest ones are actually in 2016. But you can see all those campaigns listed here. So you don't even have to type them out here. You just choose which one it is, and you can then choose different things. So if you want to check out how many people came to your website after the email was passed around, let's say because you were running a referral campaign, you can then choose this one. Or in other cases, something like this would do. So anybody who has opened that email campaign and has then visited your website will get whatever message you have set up here. So that's one example. Sometimes what you would want to do is, let's say this. You want to have one type of welcome message to somebody who's coming to your website the first time. Something that says like, hey there, welcome to our website. And if you want, you can even set up a different message that says something like, hey there, welcome back. How can we help you this time? So the visitor is going to find different messages each time, depending on how you set it up. And that's likely to, encourage them to use the chat window, which of course ultimately helps you find out who they are, because they are going to enter their name and email address, or at least their email address, to start the chat. And even if you don't make that mandatory, you can always ask them for the email address during the chat and update it manually. So that's going to work as well. So many different conditions here. So coming back to the first section, the first page, there are some important ones here. So that's why I kept it to the end. So in most situations, 95% of the cases, when you set up an intelligent trigger, I recommend that you let this first line stay as it is, which should read lands on my website. But in cases where you want the trigger to be targeted only at visitors on a certain page on your website, then you can change this condition to this, which is accesses any page on my website. So what happens is the person can land on your homepage and then go to the features page and then a lot of other pages, FAQs, testimonials, and so on. And finally, when they come to your website, when they go to the pricing page on your website, you want them to show whatever message you have typed here. So only when somebody is on this particular URL will they see this message. So this second option, accesses any page on my website, is only useful in two cases. If the current page URL, landing page URL are one of the two conditions that you choose. So apart from these two, there's also another one. You would have noticed that SalesIQ normally tracks which page a visitor has been to. So let's take an old visitor, for example. You can see this person has been to the website and has been to a couple of pages on the website and then left. Because SalesIQ normally tracks which URL a visitor goes to. But what if I tell you that it can also connect Sorry, the internet just went out. What if I tell you that it can also track a particular page the visitor has been to and a button that they clicked on the website? So you might have a button that says something like this, add to cart, for example. Or you might have a newsletter or document that people need to click a link to download. There might be a situation where they have to click a button to watch a video, for example. Different possibilities there. So you want to see if that button or if that link or if that video was watched. So what do? You connect Sales IQ to that button or any of those buttons. There is no limit. Let me just go back here and choose this option, performs the custom action. As soon as you choose this option, there's a new box here. And if you click that, it shows you the code that you need to add to that particular uh, button or link on your website. So anytime somebody clicks something like this, that button, for example, they're going to be also tracked by SalesIQ. So you know that they went to this particular URL and you know that they then clicked this button, purchase and exit. So you can track both of those things. But apart from tracking, in this case, you can use the intelligent trigger to also do certain things. In this case, let's say you have a button that says add to cart, and once an item has been added to cart, let's take this example here, and the person is on a particular page, for instance, you can then send them a message, something like the example we discussed earlier. Hey there, buy two, get one free, something like that. So people will end up buying two products instead of just one. You would have sold twice as much, and everybody is happy. So all these things that you can do from here, the possibilities are pretty much endless. So if they watch a video, you can then have the chat window pop up and say, have any questions after watching the video? Do you need to speak to a counselor for admissions to a college? Do you need to speak to our physician to set up an appointment? Whatever your line of business is, you can target people based on those actions. So just go here, intelligent triggers, choose the option performs a custom action. Send this code to your web developer. Tell him which buttons on your website are important and should be tracked by SalesIQ, and ask him to include these inside those buttons. And SalesIQ will start getting the data every time somebody clicks on that. So that's this. And what about a situation where you want to target somebody after they leave your website? While they're on your website, of course, you're going to be able to send them a message, so that part is taken care of. What happens after they leave your website? So there are different things that you can do here. Let's take this example here. I'm going to target new visitors, first time visitors. So after they leave my website, I want them to be added to a mailing list. So you can see Zoho campaigns integration has popped up. Apart from Zoho campaigns, we offer the same capability with MailChimp as well. So if you're already using MailChimp, you're going to find a similar button box pop up. So here you can add people to a list. So let's say people are visiting your website during the Black Friday sale or Christmas, for instance. You can create a separate news or a newsletter list or a mailer list where all these people are going to be added. And once they're added there, you can then go to that mailing list just before Christmas or just before Black Friday and click send. All those people are going to send an email or going to get an email that you sent, and that can contain a variety of other information. So it will be a follow up to their visit to your website. So whatever they saw on your website, it would be a good idea to recap that. So they will be able to probably make another visit to your website and likely make a purchase this time. So that's what you can do here. So like I said, accept those two conditions dealing with URLs. For every other condition, leave it as it is. Lands on my website will be more than enough. For those two conditions dealing with the URL, if you want to target visitors on a particular URL, choose the second. If you want to target people who are doing certain things on your website, such as clicking stuff, downloading, watching, and so on, you can click the third one. And the fourth one we just discussed, newsletter list. So going back, this of course is another question that people obviously ask us. All this is good, but I don't think I want to show everything inside the chat window. Maybe sometimes what I want to show them is something that will not fit inside a chat window. Or maybe it wouldn't look good inside a chat window. There are just endless series of questions that you can ask on those lines. So, is the chat window the only way to show those messages? No, absolutely not. So that is where this one particular condition or one particular capability that we skipped, we are going to look at that. So what is that capability? It's called the invoke JS API. I'm going to show you that here instead of the picture. So remember, I explained about what the animate button, the glow button, and everything else does, but I skipped this one, invoke JS API. What it does is it allows you to show a banner on your website. Now you can design the banner in any way you want. Remember when you go to McDonald's website, something just pops up and talks to you about an offer that you won't see on if you from certain other states or from on certain other days and so on. It's customized. It's not just popping up every time. You can do something like that. It could even be a form that people need to fill up to sign up for a newsletter, for example. There are endless possibilities. So this is how it looks. So as soon as you choose invoke JS API here, and this box pops up, and you can see. So let's just say this banner, I'm going to call it coupon code. So that's what I'm going to call here. So you can see it has automatically updated what I typed here. And I'm going to tell you how to implement it. So what happens is this is the name that you have set up. You now ask a web developer to design a form or a banner. Whatever you want to pop up to your website visitors, you just tell him that, and he's going to write a code that will be converted as a banner or a pop-up. So he's going to write that code and he's going to insert that here. Let me show you here. So he's going to write that here. Just insert it here. So once he's done that, he's going to paste the entire thing on the website. So you can see the name of this particular JS API is Dales in Pleasanton, which is a city in California. And the rest of the code is here. This is a very simple one, so it's just 2 lines. What you can do with it is simply an endless list of possibilities. It's up to your creativity and the technical prowess of your web developer. Depends on how much they can do or how creative they can get. So whatever it is they're going to add, they will paste it on the website, and the end result is something like this. So the code that we saw first, you can see this website here in the background and this pop-up. So this is not the way the pop-up actually has to look like. In this case, of course, the code was written in such a way that it's appearing this way. So if you don't like orange text, you can have blue, green, whatever. It's all going to be in the code. You can increase the size, you can make it pop up in the center, it's all up to you. So this is just a sample. Here's another sample I'm going to show you. You can see this whole thing here. So this pop-up has even a picture, 2 of them in fact, which allow you to add items to your cart. So whenever somebody sees this, they would be able to click on that pop-up and do stuff. So you can do that through Intelligent Trigger as well. So I can even show you a sample. Some of you who are looking at this webinar, you can actually go to this particular URL that you see on the top. So it's Zilker-delivery www.zohosites.com. And if you look at the screen carefully, you can see the chat window is already there, and the pop-up just showed up on the top. It wasn't there when we came. In this case, the timer was set to just 10 seconds or 15 seconds, if I'm not wrong. So once the timer kicked in, the pop-up came up. So this is a very basic or a simple code that we typed. You can actually give this URL to your website developers, have them take a look at the code that we have pasted on the website. It's accessible. I can just show it to you so you can see the SalesIQ code is here. So whatever we have typed, whatever it is, it's going to pop up here. So the coupon code here, just an example. This one you can see images and all of that. Like I said, that's up to you. You code it in. Whatever you type, it's going to appear. So best practices, what tips do I have for? Nothing much. That's the most important, the most basic stuff really. Whenever you set up an intelligent trigger, make sure that you consider whether it's appropriate. If you are a visitor to your website, would you like to see the message or the image that you've put in? That's the question. So professionalism is important. If you set up triggers that are going to upset people, that are controversial, or have too many typos that it doesn't convey a sense of professionalism, then it's not going to work. It's going to actually do the opposite of converting customers. It's going to scare them away. So that is one thing you must avoid. And when you set up intelligent triggers, all these questions and all these offers to assist, you should make sure that you have staff or you yourself are available to answer them. There's no point in offering assistance to visitors if you're not available to follow through on that promise. Imagine you ask somebody if they need help and they're like, wow, I was just about to close this thing. I was so upset that I couldn't complete it. Let me ask this helpful guy what to do. And then they message you and then there's no response from you because you're not at the table. That would be not just rude, but it's going to increase the likelihood of the person thinking that they had a bad experience and never come back to your website. So that's going to be counterproductive. We don't want to do that. And there's also the situation where I explained earlier that choosing a timer or time delay that's less than 10 seconds or 15 seconds is best avoided because it's just too soon. In this example that we saw, we deliberately chose 15 seconds because we are on a demo and there's no point in making you guys wait for it to appear. But normally, imagine it. Even before I read the content on this website, even before I decided what I'm going to buy, if this coupon code is going to come up, then I wouldn't know what to do with it. So giving some time for people to read stuff on your website is useful. 30 seconds or something is okay. 60 seconds, that's great. So as soon as something comes up when you visit a website, you're inclined to close it. You don't even read it. That's what happens with most of us. So you need to remember that as well. And like this example here, make sure that uh, your staff have a proper name, preferably their phone number as well. So just go to my profile, ask them to go there and upload their picture. So it's a good thing to have a proper name rather than something that might be offensive or something that's not set up correctly. And having a picture is also important so people know that it's coming from a human, not some automated system. Even though it is automated, there is still a human on the other side who's actually going to do the answering. People need to know that. So again, using a picture is a good idea. So if you have more questions about the best practices, please do send in your questions and I will be answering them. So the last part of this session, I'm just going to take 2 minutes for this. All the intelligent trigger data, what happens is they are collated and put together on SalesIQ's reports. So SalesIQ users on the professional and enterprise editions, as well as CRM Plus users, will be receiving these reports regularly. So basic users, SalesIQ basic users, as well as the free edition users, won't be getting them. So for their benefit, I'm just going to show how these reports are going to look like. So in the future, if you upgrade, you know what to look at. So here's a sample. This is a SalesIQ daily report. As you can see, it shows a lot of stuff like the number of visitors on the website and so on. So here's a section called Triggered and another one called Responded. So this is a demo website, so we just manually initiated one. But if you had set up an intelligent trigger, that's going to show up here. So 570 people came to your website. Actually, 832 did, but 570 of them were new ones. So if your intelligent trigger was designed to target only these new visitors, for example, 570 visitors, assuming all of them stayed at least 10 to 15 seconds or longer on your website, then you would probably see a number that says something close to 570. Because there are many cases where people accidentally land on your website, realize their mistake, and leave right away. So it's not going to be exactly 570 here because only people who match the conditions you set in the intelligent trigger will receive it. So let's assume it's a rounded number like 500. And you can see how many of them responded. So let's say 90 did or 100 did. So almost 20% response rate. So that's what you're going to see here. And of course, the reports also show other stuff like the top most visited pages on your website. So how many people visited which pages and all of that. It's just a snapshot of what happened on your account the previous day. It also shows sources from which the visitors found your website. Was it through another company, another website, or competitor's website? Those are all listed under referrals. Search engine visitors, email campaign visitors, and Google AdWords. You can see that. Again, how many of your Zoho CRM customers or leads visit your website? You're going to see that too. So this is the daily report. There's still more of that below. I just highlighted only this section so I can show you the data about the triggers. So let's take a look at the weekly reports. So if you take a look at the weekly reports, you can see it shows you more stuff, and and it also shows you what kind of data that you're looking at and all of that. So again, if you scroll down, you're going to see more information about the number of chats handled by the visitors and so on. So a lot of important stuff coming to your account through these two emails. So even users who are not part of SalesIQ, you can still configure their email addresses so they keep getting it. Let's say your company's CEO or a director who's not a user in SalesIQ wants to see all of this data regularly. All you need to do is go to settings, portal settings, scroll down to the section called email configuration, which is the last one here. And under that, you're going to see daily statistics where you can enter this data. So that's what you see in the daily and the weekly reports. So thank you so much for joining us.